What is good, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Sunday, thugs and thugettes. My name is BBK Dragoon. Welcome to yet another replay review. Team Swat on Asylum from Sanger Cap 3. Probably mispronouncing your name, so I'm just going to call you Cap for the rest of the game. And we're looking at Team SWAT, cruising back along, reach replay reviews, trying to get this on a weekly basis. Holy cow, that bullet whizzing past your buddy's ear there. I'm sure that he really loved that, but bet it felt quite nice for him. So, this gameplay, what to say about this gameplay? You're going to see a really high score at the end from Cap. You're also going to see a pretty large spree. It's overrunning Riot, just to give you a little teaser. But, well, I'm going to be very blunt with you. I really don't, I don't end up really liking the playstyle and the way that he goes about getting a very high score at the end of the game. And let me explain why. I feel like the style that he uses is extremely inflexible. But I right off the bat just want to open with this saying, again, I'm totally a student of the game. The rest of you guys are students of the game in the same way. We're all trying to learn and improve. And when I do these videos, I'm purely talking about just my opinions and the play styles that I feel like are important and I feel like work. But at the same time, he gets a good score at the end of the game. He gets a large spree. So you feel free to disagree with me if you don't like it. That's the best part. Whoa, totally missed that blue guy there. Little awareness issues that you're going to want to be paying attention to throughout the game. There's many times that you're going to scan right past a few blue people. So let's just jump right into it, why I don't really respect the way he ends up getting 20 plus kills in this game. The entire match, he sets up camp right back here in the red objective. He will not be leaving the red objective for the rest of the game. There is a single time that he pushes out into the rocks and gets himself a kill, but for the rest of the game, he sits here in the red objective and cleans up kills from their snipe hut, as well as every once in a while some guy pushes through their P trying to get into their shoddy court and gets a kill there. But for the most part, every kill that is, awarded to Cap is by staying in the red objective and just looking over at their snipe hut. The game ends up being a 3v4 very early on, with red team having the 4-person advantage over the blue team. And alright, let me explain why I don't respect a very campy style of gameplay. And not campy as in montage campy. I'm talking about setting up shop, unloading your tent, roasting some marshmallows as you spend the rest of the game just hanging out in the same spot. I feel like it's a very inflexible style. I feel like mobility and the option of increasing your sight lines is a much better option. Now, is it more risky? Yes, you're probably not going to end up getting your ridiculously high streak at the end. But this could have been a 30 plus kill gameplay very easily if Cap would have pushed up to the car, if Cap would have pushed up to ring 2 and been looking at their rock courts from their jump up. Before we go any further, I want to say, be careful with the spamming. You are in SWAT, and you're going to see a few times in this gameplay where there's 2 dudes on your screen, some definite spamming with the DMR. Be much more careful in the SWAT playlist. You need your shots to connect on time because you have a far smaller window, a much smaller window where you actually get to look at the opponent. If you're gunfighting with somebody and you've got shields, okay. Maybe there's a bit more of an option to rely on the randomness and hopefully one of your shots will stick. But for the most part, here's him pushing at the rocks, by the way. For the most part, be so overly careful about spamming your shots. Now back to why I think this playstyle is inflexible. You're in a 3v4 and the blue team never ever throughout this game mounts a full-on assault into your objective. You never get pushed by more than one guy back here. There's, I think at the end of the game, I think one guy gets right back in here and takes you down. And that's the only time you die, is when people actually pressure you back here. I believe that if you're playing a full team of 4 experienced players who weren't just feeding you kills by running right back to snipe hut or right back to P, this would be a much harder play style. The immobility here just immediately clues experienced players into like, okay, I'm just going to walk right up and get an angle on this guy. Since he's going to stay there the whole game, I can literally count on that sight line having a kill in it every single time I look at it. Now, with that said, I really hate when people comment on gameplay saying, oh, you were just playing bad players. I want to see you play better players. I hate that comment. I feel like it's a cop-out because every match of Halo is different, and you play every single match Your playstyle is determined by your opponents. You read your opponents and you make your decisions. In this gameplay, did this playstyle work? Yes, absolutely. You got a big score. It did work. Now, I think you could have had a higher score at the end, but in this game, you sussed out that the opponents were, all right, they're feeding me kills. They're going back to the same exact spot every time. So why wouldn't I try and feed up on free kills by staying here back in the objective? Sure, I might not think that it's a very fun playstyle to watch, or it's even a fun playstyle to play. I don't think it's very fun to hang out in the same spot in the map. But did it work? Yes. Do I think it'll work in every game? Absolutely not. I do not. So I want to sort of draw this fine line here where I'm not being overly critical and complaining that you spend the whole game in the objective and working your way back to the objective. But at the same time, it did work for you. It did work for you in this gameplay. So you guys can figure that one out. All you viewers can decide, all right, well, maybe I've got a point here, or maybe I'm just talking out my butt. At the end of the game, I will show you the sightlines. See, every time you go down, it's because you're getting pressured back here. If the blue team were to send a lot more pressure this way, I think it would be a much harder gameplay. Let's look at the sightlines, and then you guys can decide for yourself. So when you're sitting back in the objective, you only have two sightlines, really, that you get to look at. You can look back to their right, over at their snipe hut, which is where the blue team just kept running the whole game, or you can look left at your P when they come into your court. So over in snipe hut, okay, and then every once in a while when they cross into your court from the P. But if we go over to the car, I want you to look how many routes we have and the unpredictability that it provides us. So you can look right back into their court. Great. You can still have that angle into the snipe hut as well. You can even snipe their objective, and finally, if you jump, you can look at their rocks. Then, say you're being pressured, run into ring 2, yet another sightline into their rocks, and that unpredictability. Say you're being pressured, no problem, dude. Just cycle right back in, and then you can make the call if you want to go back to the objective or not. I'm just saying, 2 sightlines plus maybe 1 or 2 routes, versus if you are to push ring 2 in the car, 5 or 6 routes with 7 or 8 sightlines. I'll let you guys decide in the end if you think my diagnosis was proper or not, but let's jump to the bullet points, and yes. So first of all, thank you for the replay. It was much appreciated. Secondly, I think you need to sort of weigh out your mobility versus immobility. Did you get a huge score at the end with a beautiful spree? Yes, you did. Will that playstyle work in every game? No, I don't think so. But if you sussed your opponents out and you saw that, hey, they're going to feed me kills, cool. Then I support it. But if this is the way you play every single match, then I think there is a little bit of room for improvement. So work on sightlines, watch that spamming, and then finally, weigh out mobility versus immobility. Thank you guys. I hope your week goes well. I'll try and see you tomorrow night for Monday night in the pit. I think there is this Monday night, and maybe one more, and then I am going to be back at school playing Halo, so I'm excited for that. I appreciate it. Later.